Hello from wherever you're tuning in to SSBC. We're coming to you live from our studio in capital Juba. I am Mariam Yok. On today's discussion, we're going to look at access to safe and clean drinking water in the country are the top priority in the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation. Joining me in the studio is Honorable Paul DENG, the Minister of Water Resource and Irrigation in the Republic of South Sudan. Honorable Minister, welcome to SSBC.
Thanks so much for welcoming me. It's a great pleasure to be hosted by SSBC for the first time. I thank my viewers for attending this interactive engagement I'm going to have with the SSBC team, and I also thank you for hosting me.
You are welcome to our studio for the first time, and I'm profoundly honored to have you in the studio. Honorable Minister, going to the point, as the new Minister of Water Resource and Irrigation, what are some of the plans in the ministry that you want to achieve to have for the citizens of South Sudan to have safe and clean drinking water in the country? What are some of your plans as we speak?
Well, my plan and the plans of Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation is to put in place equitable and sustainable water resources management, and at the same time provides adequate access to safe and clean drinking water to our citizens, both in rural and urban areas, in order to improve the living standards in terms of public health, hygiene, and sanitation. To achieve this plan, I am very confident that it is easier said than done. It takes time because it requires mobilization of resources, skilled manpower, and time for implementation and mobilization of the resources. But with determination and commitment, and with the support from my technical team, I am confident that in the next 2 years to come, I will have this achievement or this plan achieved.
Honorable Minister, knowing that it is now a Christmas festival and the New Year celebration, because tomorrow is going to be the 31st, and which is the last day of the year 2022, we're going to 2023. There is high need of the water use in some households where they are painting, using water also for drinking, for cleaning the clothes, because some people will not go to the next year with the dirty clothes. They would like to wash the clothes as well as having also the drinking water in the resident. And most of the residents now are depending on the tank water being supplied by the foreigners drivers. Are the concerned institution, what are your top priority to identify that all citizens have access to safe, clean drinking water, and also availability of water in all residents of the people?
Well, we have several water filling stations and water treatment plants that are owned and managed by private sectors and government through urban water corporation. The function of these facilities is to treat water and provide it to the citizen at affordable price. Although we have these facilities functioning, we still have gap, and there is a need for an intervention. But despite this, they also serve the purpose. To make water available for everyone during the New Year celebration, we have to make sure that the number of hours that they spend, that these facilities spend in generating water is increased, so that the quantity of water they will produce during the New Year celebration will increase, and as a result there will be enough water for everyone at household level. I know that we are supplying our urban populations in Juba with water from water filling stations and water treatment plants in form of kiosks, which is supposed not to be the way, because we have become urban. But the idea of having water treatment plant and peeling station was something of early days of independence, when Juba was very small in size and when the population was also very small. And 5-bit distribution system, 5-bit water distribution system at that time was not appropriate. But as we have grown and developed right now in terms of population and in size, so there is a need for us to switch from water filling station and water treatment plant that operates in the form of kiosk to 5-bit distribution system which has household connection. We are now in feasibility studies. We are also engaging the government and the stakeholders and partners to make sure that we have resources to put in place 5-bit distribution system with meter reading in place so that everyone will have access to safe and clean drinking water.
Honorable Minister, as one of your top priority to provide water to the citizens, that safe water. Now, that is, this question always come to whoever become Minister of Water Resources in this country, the use of the water tank that is being driven by the foreigners, supplying to the citizens of this country, particularly in Juba City. Most of the residents, as we speak, they are not getting water from the pipeline, from the tap, from what. They are getting water through a tanker. And I believe the viewers out there may agree with me based on the research. Now, are those water clean, that tanker water?
Well, before I come to your direct question, I think it's something I have spoken about a few minutes back, that the use of water filling station and water treatment plants that operates in form of kiosk was the idea of the early days of independence, when Juba was very small in terms of population and size. But this is not going to be the case because we have grown and developed, and Juba has become more urban than it was those days. So 5-bit distribution system for each and every household is a need, and this is where our priority lies. As I said, we are now mobilizing the resources. We are doing feasibility studies. My technical team is now preparing memos for presentation to economic cluster and to Council of Ministers as well. But this is not easy. It's a development. It's developmental projects, and anything developmental is always gradual and progressive. It takes time. Well, with regard to the quality of water that is supplied to the people in Juba, which is your question, we have labs that provide testing for all water that is provided or distributed by these tankers. We always make sure that the water they provide is of good standard. So I'm sure that it's safe.
Okay, meaning that water that being distributed to the people are safe. That is your answer, right?
Yes, because we have lab, and when I came in, I also had an intensive discussion with the staff in the ministry and Urban Corporation on the quality of water distributed by foreigners through tankers. And what I got from them is that the water provided by these foreigners through tankers is always tested.
Actually, you're the new minister, because I don't want to exhaust you on this matter because you're the new minister. Otherwise, if you're not new minister, I would have gone far from this. But based on the research and some eyewitness that show the water, is normally that the water tank just drive from Gudela, they go direct to the riverside, just fill without going to the laboratory where they should be filled from there. Do you at the ministry have the lab along the Nile where these tanks goes and pitch water from the storage already, that treatment, the water already being treated, or they just fish from the river?
You're definitely right, and I think I may agree with you that there might be some problem with the quality of water that is provided by private sectors. Why? As I said, we still have huge gap in provisions of water for the populations in Juba. And according to the statistics I got, only 25% of our urban population in Juba has access to safe and clean drinking water. The rest 75 do not. And so with this huge gap, it is not far from happening that the private sectors or individuals who do not have the capacity, purchasing power, to buy from these water filling stations and water treatment plant, so that there is a chance, high chance, of individuals getting water from the Nile and provide it to the populations in peripheries of the city. That is there. It is going to be the case? Definitely no. That's why we have come up with feasibility studies and to make sure that we have mobilized the resources to switch from this water filling station and water treatment plants that operate in form of kiosks to fiber distribution system that will cover the whole town.
Okay, Honorable, before we have inside break in the studio, let me just take you following to your recent visit, recent inspection to urban water treatment facility in Loklogo, is Loklogo 2. The question came this way: when will the facility be ready for use? Because this is the treatment facility for the water, and also what is the condition of the facility when you inspect it for the first time? Is that facility going to accommodate people? Is it going to be of good quality, or just something that just mean?
Well, the purpose of my visit to Lokloga site, where the water treatment plant is constructed by UNICEF, was to see for myself challenges and problems that are affecting the constructions and the operationalization of the plant. So when I went, I had very good discussion with the UNICEF team. I was walking through the compound, showing me the whole parts of the plant, and I have come to know that the constructions of the plant is complete and that it is operational, and then the remaining part is the official handover of the plant to the government, which will be done in the first 2 months of the new year. Okay. So it is operating. With regard to the capacity, yes, the capacity is very small, that it cannot save at least a population of more than 20,000, but it serves the purpose.
Okay, Honorable, before we go to our inside break, I want to bring this last question and we go for break. As you mentioned before that you want to achieve water resource system in terms of economic, to improve the economy, because when you look at water and the economic, they are not far different from each other, so they move together. As a part of the economic part of the water system, now what are your plans in terms of irrigation? Because when the country have the irrigation system that they produce the food locally, there will be enough food for the citizen. That will also have a value on the economic sector of the country. That's why I put it as it comes with the security, it comes with the economic part of this. What are your plans in terms of irrigation? Because I saw your statement about and I was the one who reported, I think so, about the the machines that were donated some years back and used for irrigation, the big machine and all this. What are your plans now?
That is very good questions. As far as I know, as a country, if you want to achieve economic stability, food security is a key. That if we have large-scale irrigation that produce a large quantity of food which can be accessible, affordable, and available both at local and national level, we can have our economy stabilized. So there is a need. And as Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, I am engaging very much the stakeholders, partners, and friends that the need for us to have irrigation scheme is real, and we have to do it now. We don't have to wait. And so, with the stakeholders and partners whose names I'm not ready to reveal right now, the idea of having dams is there, and it is supported. It is the plans of the government. I had good discussion with those people this week, and they have shown or expressed the readiness to support this irrigation scheme. We have the machine which were donated to us, pumping machine for irrigations, which were donated to the government of South Sudan some years even before independence. They have been in the stores for a number of years. I was shocked to learn that we got the equipment and we have not put them in use. We haven't put them into use, I mean. Well, the idea of having dams is there, and the feasibility studies are also ongoing. Mobilization for resources for us to translate these plans into action is also going. So once we have the dam, our large one, multi-purpose dam, that will store large amounts of water for present and future use, and will also enable us to have hydroelectric power generation and large-scale irrigation. And then we will have the idea of large-scale irrigation in place. But we are not going to wait for that to happen, because it takes time. It needs resources, it needs time and feasibility studies. But at a small scale, we are now working that we will revive, that we will have one of the irrigation scheme functioning. And one of the sites we have identified that we will first start with is the Lobonek irrigation scheme. I have engaged seriously the partners, stakeholders, and the government that we have to get this irrigation working. So it will happen. And I hope when this is achieved, once we have this irrigation scheme in Lobonek done, it will contribute to reductions of food prices, not only in the location, but also in some part of the country. This is going to be done.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Let's go for a short break. Our viewers, we shall be right back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break. We're still tuning into SSBC. We're coming to you live in our studio here in capital Juba. I am still with you, Mayriam York, for the today hours of this program. And also to remind you, with the guest in the studio with me is none other than Honorable Paul Maiden, the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation. And our topic of discussion is the access to safe and clean drinking water in the country as the top priority by the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation. Honorable Minister, you are highly welcome for come back from this break.
Thank you.
As we are discussing, Honorable Minister, now the next question is, There are projects like JACA, urban water treatment, water projects, which is under construction since last 2 years, and also you have a project funded by the African Development Bank. How far have you reached reached with those projects that is underway, and when is the citizen are expecting to have those projects?
Thank you. First of all, the people of Japan and through JICA have been very generous, supportive and kind to actually help in infrastructure development. They are giving a lot of money to government of South Sudan to make sure that their quality of life is changed, which is very good. And as Minister of Water Resources, or as Minister of that institution, I thank the great people of Japan and the JICA for this tremendous support that they are offering to the people of South Sudan, because it's not only in water sector that they are supporting. They also help in constructions of dams and capacity buildings for most of the institution. So it's very much the support that they give. Currently, they are constructing water treatment plant with, of course, good capacity to provide still the population of Juba with safe and clean drinking water. The constructions of that plant is completed, and it is going to be handed over to the government, particularly to the Urban Water Corporation, in an official inauguration, which will be officiated by the President. So the inauguration ceremony is going to be held in mid-February, which is very important. 2023.
Okay.
Mid-February 2023. So the construction is over. We are now in the free arrangement phase of the official handover. So that's where we are at right now. So it's
okay. Yeah. Coming to the projects being funded by the African Development Bank, water facilities.
Water facility that is funded by the African Development Bank is also completed. The construction is over. It has been handed over to us. You could remember by the time I was received at the Urban Water Corporation, it was the opening. It's also a great support from the African Development Bank and the country leadership.
Okay. The Honorable Minister, before we conclude our interview, what did the Ministry achieve in this last operation? What have you as huge Ministry achieved since then, from the day one?
Well, the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation and South Sudan Urban Water Corporations have made, in my belief, a remarkable achievement in the last 5 years. We have succeeded to mobilize $1 million from partners for implementations of water treatment plant, drillings of new boreholes, rehabilitations of broken one. We have also secured funding from foreign governments toward achievements of this objective. We have made a lots of policy documents for the ministry, which are in use, and that are also guidelines for developing proposals and making decisions when it comes to area of water resources management and provision of safe drinking water. Recently, the government of South Sudan has donated or has given to Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation about 28 million for procurement of haze moving machines and equipment in order to build dikes and make embankments on the rivers for protections of flood-affected people. We are in the procurement stage of those equipment. Once we have them in place, the response capability of the government to flood crisis will be increased. So a lot of achievement have been made, and now we are planning to make sure that we switch from water filling stations and water treatment plants that operates in form of kiosks to private water distribution system without all connections, not only for the national capital, Juba, but also for the capitals of the 10 states.
Honorable Minister, before we conclude, because this will be our last question to this interview, what are some of the challenges facing you in the ministry, and what could be your last message to the viewers of SSBC who may happen to watch this program?
Challenges are everywhere. We live with them. Even in US and other countries, you happen to have challenges. At the level of ministry, we have got our own challenges, ranging from limited office spaces to some problem with the equipment to work with, such as drilling, rigs, and many others. That
what is your last message to the citizens of South Sudan?
Well, my last message to the people of South Sudan and to the citizen: one, as we approach the new year, there is a need for us to forget and forgive and embark on the path to reconciliation, sustainable peace, and national unity. This is my message number one. My message number two is that we have got a population which is young and growing. This is huge potential, and in it there are best brains and talents that are not in use. This has been blamed on government, but as I know, and in history, there is no government that provides 100% employment for the whole population. You go to US, you cannot find the whole population being employed by the government. You go to Scandinavian countries with welfare economies, you could not find the whole population being employed by the government. That's why the idea of the structural adjustment program in 1980 was introduced, that if you need to grow and develop, you must keep the size of your government very small, so that you will have more financial resources for development and less resources for recurrent budget that goes into bucket in form of salaries. This idea of the structural adjustment program is not an obsolete tool of the 1980s. It is still applicable. So my message to the youth out there is that you need to be forceful, creative, and innovative to engage in private sectors in order to make a living. On our part as a government, I know that there is a need for us to create an enabling environment for each one of you to explore possibilities and opportunities. But with this agreement we are in, I am sure and optimistic that the enabling environment will be there. This is my message number two. My message number three is that as we grapple with our domestic challenges while looking ahead into promising future for us and generation to come, I need to remind us that the success and national pride of the future generation rests with us, and there is need for us to create such enabling environment for them to succeed and for them to be proud of us. This is my message number three. My message number four is that the year 2022 has more shortcomings than blessings. The war in Europe has affected the people of the global south in terms of high fuel price and food insecurity. The humanitarian support for the people in the global south has shrunk, and as a result of that, many staffs that are on the employments of NGOs have been affected, because majority of the projects have been relocated to Ukraine. We have the threat of Ebola south of us. We have the issue of floods and torrential rains, which have displaced almost 1 million. These challenges have been with us for the year 2022, but we have prevailed. And this is an indication or explosion of confidence that we are in readiness and prepared to confront the upcoming challenges. And then for the year 2023, I believe that it will be a year of hope, year of success, year of love, year of care, year of peace and reconciliation. And I wish everyone a happy new year.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that remarkable wishes to the people of South Sudan and to the youth in particular. And to our viewers out there, we have come to the end of today's edition. And to my colleague in the control room and my camera department, I wish you a happy new year. And to my colleagues, to your family, I wish you best in this new year. And also to my family, bye-bye for now. We shall meet in the year 2023. I am Mayuriam York. Bye-bye, and continue with the rest of the program coming up from SSBC, your only national television in South Sudan.